So the first question is from students is talking about this entire credit, no credit system. What does that mean for students who have to do final assessments or projects, or is the prof just deciding what their grades look like? So I think a lot of students are just a little bit confused about the grading system and how that impacts their final grades.
So the students are still being assessed, and the profs obviously are doing the assessment. There's a revised syllabus template that has been distributed to the profs, and the profs will get back to the students with some have already to the students with revised expectations for the course. And if you meet the requirements of the course, then you get credit.
I think, Akanksha, it's important to remember here for students, because I know they're hearing a whole bunch of different things. And a big part of the reason why we made this change was so that we could work in the best interest of students, right? And to try and help alleviate some of their stress. And so what we really want to be clear about is final assessments and final exams still happen under this different approach, but that what we're trying to do is to be able to deliver the course content in a way that respects the fact that we can't be in person with one another, and that we're under a whole new set of unprecedented circumstances, right? So to be able to do that clearly, we've got a new template for every single course syllabus. A student's going to get a revision, and that revision is going to tell them what their new final assessment looks like, right? So it's not going to look like coming to the Butterdome, obviously, but we are going to try and make sure that we have achieved the learning outcomes of a course. That's important, right? Because students go on to different courses in the future. They need to use that learning going forward, but we need to do it in a way that actually respects the restrictions we have right now. So what we want instructors to be able to do is communicate real clearly with students about what the changes are that allow them to still complete the course content, still get through a final assessment of some sort, but do it in a way that respects those restrictions and is clear for students. So they're going to get that template so they know what to expect.
Yep, and get their credits.
Absolutely.
That's
Get their
credits. Yeah, that's the point.
Yep.
Okay, that's great. So another question I've been hearing a lot from students is that a lot of students might have gotten some conditional acceptances into different programs. So how is the credit, no credit grading assessment model going to affect their conditional acceptance to these programs?
Yeah, so if a student has an offer of acceptance into a program right now, going credit, non-credit isn't going to affect that, right? So their conditional acceptance still holds, and many of the universities across Canada are having to deal with what amounts to a very new, very different kind of winter semester, right? So we're talking with our colleagues across the country and throughout Alberta about how we're all going to deal with what amounts to something highly variable, right? Nobody's transcript's going to look like it usually looks. Nobody's transcript's going to be completely understandable in the way it was for winter 2020. But what we can see is the credit students complete, right? And that's important. So we'll be able to see what courses are finalized. That helps us in clearing conditions for different programs. And for U of A programs, we're working really hard to make sure that students aren't getting any negative impact from the move of credit to non-credit in terms of their admission and conditional offers that they hold right now.
I think a quick follow-up I have is just, how is this going to affect students' chances of perhaps getting into an honors program or grad school or even professional programs in and out of the U of A?
Yeah, so a big part of what we did wasn't just moving to credit, non-credit. It was also allowing faculties to change the way they look at academic standing, right? So that gives some latitude in the way in which we'd evaluate a student for progress into an honors program, or for progress into graduate school, or for progress on things like scholarships. And so what we're doing right now is trying to take a look at graded work that we do have from things like the fall semester, but also recognize that we're just looking to see if a student has completed credits from that winter semester, right? So as far as what the impacts will be for a student moving into a professional program or moving into a graduate program, the specifics are not 100% worked out yet. But what we know is that we're making latitudes to recognize, again, as André said, that winter 2020 isn't like any semester any of us have dealt with. And we're making sure that for our internal community, there won't be a negative impact on students from this change in terms of their next academic goals.
I guess another question that I've been hearing a lot is also regarding scholarships. I think financials are a big concern for students right now. So there are a lot of scholarships that have certain grade requirements or certain sort of academic requirements. Does anyone sort of have any information on what scholarships look like for continuing students?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's something we've been focused on since the beginning of all of this in the Student Financial Support Unit and what we would be able to do. So lot of complexities around this, but the long and short of it is that we can focus on academic performance and grades from the fall semester and still look at the credit load requirements that include credits earned from the winter semester. So all that goes to say is that a student can still be competitive for a continuing award. We're making sure of that. A student can still be competitive for things like entrance awards. We're making sure of that, the U of A administers. And we're working again with partners across the country to figure out the way in which we're all able to adjust and modify our assessments and adjudications for scholarships to make sure that, again, the best students are being recognized for the achievements that they've worked very hard to attain. And we're looking at ways we can do that. But for the U of A circumstance, we have methods in place to make sure that, again, we can continue to adjudicate students for awards that they are not disadvantaged. And I'd say it's a real benefit to us that we went so broadly with credit, non-credit, because it means that everybody is on a level playing field for U of A scholarships and awards that are applying as continuing students.
Yeah, and we're talking to government as well. Government will have to make some allowances for this semester in terms of their own awards, and everybody's going to have to do that. Other universities again. So we're all in this together, and we're all talking to each other.
I think both of you have mentioned a lot of conversations with other universities and other institutions. Can you maybe elaborate a little bit on what that looks like and what those conversations have been like so far?
Yeah, well, so both of us have both colleagues that we work with very closely, but also friends who are at other universities in similar positions, and so we're talking almost on a daily basis about what challenges they're facing, what challenges we're facing. So we realize the challenges are the same everywhere. The solutions are similar. How you implement a solution in a particular context is really what changes, because the culture and the traditions vary from institution to institution. But pretty much we're trying to do the same thing, just sometimes in different ways.
Our goal is to help support our students, and that's the tone across the country. Every university across this country wants to make sure that good students that want to attend their programs can continue to attend their programs. And University of Alberta's reputation is such that they want our students. And so we're talking about how we can work together to make sure that students have the best options available to them, and that what is a very stressful and unprecedented period doesn't stand in the way of the goals that they had.
Yeah, and at the same time, we want to make sure that the pandemic doesn't decide, who gets good grades and doesn't this semester, or even who gets a grade or not.
There's just a lot of conversations about morale, and I think it's been really difficult for me to uplift the student morale. Students feeling like, what's the point of continuing to study if I'm not going to get a grade assigned? And I don't know if you have any like encouragement pieces or things that I can kind of mention to students.
So first, you're going to get credit. Right, so that's not nothing. That's important. Right? You're here to learn and to prepare to go out and make a difference in the world, and that doesn't change. Right, the mission is still there.
I think focusing on the things you can control, like continuing to study, is a really good way to try and help yourself get through something like this.
Yeah, and I have to note, while I see that Melissa is observing good public health measures by coughing into her elbow. That all student services are available online. If you don't know how to access them, go to the webpage of the Dean of Students Office. It's all explained, or send me an email. I'm easy to find. I will point you in the right direction. All services are available.
What are you folks doing to stay mentally sane? Are there any hobbies that you have?
So certainly I have a 4-year-old and an 8-year-old. So there has been a lot of outdoor playing in the snow. There has been a lot of snow fort building that is quite epic on my front lawn right now. So that has been a fantastic de-stressor. And certainly going out for walks has been nice in the middle of the day to be able to get out even for 5 minutes and enjoy some sunshine. Someone said to me, the outdoors isn't closed. So make sure people know that you're still allowed to go outside. For now, but going outside, even in your backyard or just around the block, has been something that I think has been really nice to be able to take some time and do. And also getting hugs from little kids in the middle of the day, because none of us are infected. We can still give each other hugs inside the household, has been a good thing.
Yeah, and very similar here. Going outside for walks, while we can, is a very good thing. And we've been lucky with the weather. Playing a bit of music, doing little things like that that I can do here, because if I have a 10-minute break during the day, I can just do something, right, that I can't normally do at the office.
Great. So if students have more comments or questions or concerns about this, is there a website that they can visit to get some facts and questions, I guess?
The best place to go and get the FAQs is through the COVID-19 website that the U set up. So that'll have all of the questions that we've been answering through those Q&As, and keep visiting that site because we update them almost daily as we get more information, as more decisions are made, and as we get more clarity around some of the decisions. So it's good not just to check once, but to check many times to go back to those Q&As.
And if you don't know where to start with us, and we're going to get you to the right place.
Yeah.
And the website is just uab.ca/COVID-19, right?
That's correct.
Great. That's awesome to hear. Thanks so much, Andre. Melissa, also for answering all our questions.